G'day. Welcome back if you watched my introduction. If not, my name's Phoebe and I'm going to be doing a series of videos around sharing some personal issues and troubles and things that I'm going through. A bit of a personal experiment of sorts. And who knows, maybe someone else out there might be able to relate or, we'll see, I'm not sure. So for this video, this is like the fourth time I've done this. I'm having a lot of trouble putting it together. So let's see how we go this time. I am going to be mentioning, I mentioned in my intro and I will be referring to it a lot throughout my videos. The reason I moved up to Queensland about 6 years ago was to pursue my interest in the teachings that go by the name of Divine Truth. So I haven't mentioned much about it before, but the teachers of Divine Truth claim to be Jesus and Mary Magdalene from the Bible, so from the first century. And I guess for that reason alone, I've kind of shied away from being super public about my passion for the teachings. I've sort of taken a stance of like defensiveness, I suppose, like automatically feeling defensive rather like I'm going to get attacked or judged, so I'm going to be on the defense to start with. So I haven't, I guess, really spoken about it super publicly. And the reason I want to make this sort of dedicated video to start with is because a few years ago, there was some media reports, some journalists came and did some coverage on AJ and Mary and stayed at their house and published some documentaries and whatever. And I just want to give my perspective from someone who's known them for a number of years, who's lived out here, who's been attending seminars for years and years. I want to just say how false a lot of the information that's been presented on those documentaries is. And I feel this is important to do because sometimes that's a person's first entry point into, looking up divine truth or coming across the teachings. It might be coming across a sort of a 7:30 report or a current affair report and, some other sort of reputable news source such as those. And I just want to clear up a few things and say that, a lot of the stuff that's been presented has been, just completely false. Yes, I mean, I guess just to begin with, I first came across the Divine Truth teachings, I think it was maybe 2010. I was doing my spiritual hippie seeking quest in India at the time, and I had a phone call from a good friend of mine who said, "You never believe it, but I'm listening to these talks and I think it might be Jesus and Jesus is back on the planet." And I was just like, oh my God, that does not fit into any chapter of any book in my library of what it is to be worldly and cool, which has been stuff that I've pretty much tried desperately to be for my entire life. So I kind of, laughed it off a little bit. Then when I got back to Australia, I lived with this friend, and so I was, watching stuff with her. And while it certainly challenged me in many ways, especially the Jesus thing, especially someone saying that they're Jesus, I was just like, why? Why would you have to? Why would you say that? And also, it just didn't fit once again with my definition of something that is cool and is going to get me worldly approval. But my golly, I kept being attracted to these teachings, and something about what was being said just resonated with my heart, and I couldn't let it go. And over time, I suppose, that was many years ago. That was coming on for 10 years ago, 9 years ago. I've had a lot more to do with AJ and Mary, and look, they've never given me any reason to question their character, their integrity, their trustworthiness, their transparency, their personality and nature. And so I feel like I want to just take this time to dispel some specific lies that have been said about them. Like, I don't want to just sit back silently on this anymore. So I'm just going to go through some of the points that were made in the like so-called documentaries about AJ and Mary. So first of all, they claim that they live in some fenced kind of locked compound. This is just completely not true. So they live about 20 minutes away from me. We don't all live in some sort of community, or we don't all live together, like as you can maybe see. Like, I live in my own home. AJ and Mary live on a 40-acre block of bush land. In Queensland, the land's often divided into these 40-acre blocks. They live there by themselves in a simple one-bedroom house. There's a couple of eco tents on the property as well. There's no fences. In fact, I believe probably one of the first things they did was pull down the fences when they bought the place. And they've basically, I know that they spend a large proportion of any money that they have investing into the property and the land, so trying to restore the soil, because we live in rural Queensland, which is cattle farming country, and therefore, like, the soil is pretty degraded. Generations of farming have, done a lot of damage to it. Generations of demand for meat consumption. So they put a lot of resources, time and money into buying wood chip, doing land works to try and keep the water on the property. They get the scraps from Woolworths in town and deposit them all throughout the property just to really try and build the soil. But it's just the two of them that live there. No one else lives there with them. There's never been a commune or a community around AJ and Mary's property. So I guess that's where they live. That's the place. It's not a compound. There's no cross-shaped, like on the news there was some image of some cleared cross-shaped land or something that they'd seen from the sky. That is not on their property. I don't think that's anywhere near their property. That's just quite funny. So in terms of maybe money, like, I think there's always this thing around like cult leaders wanting to like take your money and, roping you in that way. I think, I mean, I don't know much about cults, to be honest, but look, everything that AJ and Mary, all the seminars, all the presentations they give are completely like by donation, totally free. I've never had money asked of me. I've been to excuse me. I've been to loads of things over the years, like anything ranging from like a 2-hour seminar to like a week-long seminar. I've been to a number of week-long seminars that these guys present, and they never ask for a cent. Everything is given as a gift, and that to me says a lot about their integrity. And not only that, but I think you can like actually go to their website, and there's it's all clearly laid out how they use any funds that they come into possession of. Like, who does that? I don't do that. I don't know anyone who does that, who's that transparent about their financial dealings. So they give a lot of money to the land, a lot of money to people around them, and they put pretty much whatever other resources they have into producing the material that they're so passionate about sharing, producing the information that they put on YouTube and other things like that. So, debunked the cult leader stealing all your money myth. Okay, what else? Yeah, I guess what else I would say is like the way that they've treated me personally over the years. Like, they've shown me nothing but kindness. Like, they've interacted me in a way that's benefited me in so many ways, whether that's been through sharing truth and information with me, giving me the resource and energy of their time. They I genuinely feel that they're just really good people. They just love what they do. They're passionate about serving humanity. They're passionate about like all sorts of issues that affect the world, both like individual people and our ability to love and grow, and what and how this then affects things on a worldwide scale. I think I've heard them be criticized for just like sitting back in the bush and not like, if Jesus was to really come back, surely he'd be doing something more than what they're doing. But honestly, these are two of the most passionate people I've ever met. They're doing so much with their life in order to share these truths with as many people as they can, because they really feel a conviction in their heart that the information that they have, that they want to share, has the potential and the power to like radically change the world that we live in, the world that we know it. And I think that they're right. I think that that's true. It's just going to take people being willing to like put these principles into action, and they would never, they respect everybody's free will. There's no coercion or manipulation in anyone to follow the teachings or to do what they tell us. Like, they've never told me to do anything. They teach these beautiful, simple truths about love, about having a relationship with God, and how to have that relationship with God, how to work out if there is a God in the first place. And then not only that, but how like this relationship with God and this ability to grow ourselves and become more loving is available to anyone, anywhere, without the need of like an intermediary, a priest, a guru, some sort of spiritual enlightened person. Like, it's the beauty of these truths, or these principles that they teach, which makes me feel that they're truth, is that they're accessible to anyone and everyone. There's no exclusivity, which is also a kind of a signpost of a cult or whatever. There's no membership. There's no, you have to follow this set of things or else you're not one of us. They've never displayed that kind of attitude, ever. They honestly would love for the information that they share to be available to whoever seeks it, and then that whoever seeks it can make up their own mind as to how they feel about it and if they want to do anything with it. Yep, so let's have another look here. Yeah, I guess the other thing that I would, that I would say, like, for myself, I've honestly been so invested in how the world perceives me. As I mentioned earlier, like, I want to be cool, I want to be worldly, I want people to think I'm a good person. I've really struggled with like just letting it hang out and letting people see what's really going on inside of me or what I really feel about things. I want just the world to think I'm a great person, basically. And trust me, when you start telling people that you believe that Jesus could be back on the planet, or that you listen to teachings by people who say to be Jesus and Mary, it's not, it doesn't get you a whole stack of like adulation or worldly approval usually. So, and the reason I say that is because if there wasn't something in it, like something that really made me like stop and take notice, and like something that's really pulled my heart towards it in a really big way, I would have been out the door years ago. And that has been a struggle for me, this like really embracing this, and then feeling as though, man, no one's going to think I'm cool anymore when I start talking about Jesus. But man, I don't know. I guess I just feel at the moment I'm feeling like it's time to just give that up and just stop being so invested in what people think of me. Especially, when I feel like there's a lot of potential available for everyone who perhaps listens to these teachings. So I guess I just want to encourage anyone to make up your own mind. Don't listen to the bullshit that media present. We all know how unreliable media can be these days. It's all a money-making game. So anything that's going to get money is going to be something that's sensationalized, or Australia's most dangerous cult. I'm not in a cult. I can tell you that I'm not in a cult. Religion to me seems more like a cult. A family, growing up in a family, that's more cult-like than what I feel like I experience as part of, listening to Divine Truth and the people I know through Divine Truth. If you've come across the teachings and you're like, whoa, that looks weird because there's some crazily weirdly edited footage of Jesus and Mary doing their thing, and just maybe, I don't know, just use a little bit of logic, or perhaps dig a little deeper, because just one click and it can take you away from something that's so beautiful and so potentially life-changing. I guess I just would encourage you to just do a little bit of extra work that it takes to investigate something for yourself. We live in a world, and this goes for me too. I just want someone to tell me what to do, when to do it, how. Is it right? Is it wrong? Am I going to make a mistake? I want to know all these things before I am willing to experiment for myself. And I think nothing good comes from that way of living. And we potentially miss out on things, miss out on opportunities. It's kind of like a laziness. I feel quite lazy. I think in my life I've been quite lazy. So I just would encourage you to have a less lazy attitude towards exploring things, and you have an open mind. And don't take my word for it either. This is just my, a little perspective on things. And just wanted, because I don't like seeing people who I admire and have their character slayed, basically, because I just know that most of the rubbish that's been said about them isn't true. I just wanted to say my piece on that. And I'll talk more about Divine Truth and what I've actually learnt, and how it's related to me personally, probably in other videos. I think I'll leave it at that for now, and I'll catch you soon. All right, bye. At the risk of getting super freaky, which is kind of what the point of these videos is, so I'm just going to go there. So Christianity and religion, I've never really followed Christianity or any sort of religion, but from what I understand, the Bible said that Jesus, when he comes back, he's going to come, riding on some cloud with trumpets and a circus. And, if Jesus was to come back, and this is just using logic, this is, is that logical? Honestly, is that how, is he going to come back and gather up the good people of the world and, banish or judge eternal hell the bad people? Is someone who really understands love really going to come back to earth like that, if they're going to come back to earth at all? Or is someone who understands love and who was a simple person, both in the first century, who just wanted to share those truths simply and just wanted to love and teach other people to love, is someone like that going to come on a cloud with trumpets blaring, or are they going to come in a simple way again and just humbly do their thing, humbly desire to share truth and, share about love? It's just a question to ponder, I'm just putting it out there, getting all crazy. If anyone's going to be Jesus that I've ever come across in my life, if anyone's going to be Mary Magdalene that I've ever come across in my life, it's these guys.